Hey guys, how you doing? This video is a full rundown of my entire fitness journey. I'll try and cover everything I've been through, but I might miss some stuff out. But I'll try to. So it might be a long video. So this is my full fitness journey. I don't have pictures of me when I was a teenager, when I was younger. But I'll go through what happened when I was younger. When I was a teenager, from my first days, I started lifting weights. Started doing sit-ups and push-ups in my room. But I don't have pictures of me doing sit-ups and push-ups in my room, so I started. But you can read the text from from what's relating to the pictures, all pictures and videos of me, as usual. But yeah, I started actually lifting weights like the year 2000, 2001 when I went to an all-boys school, so there was lots of bullying going on there, so you had to be able to protect yourself. So yeah, there was lots of a rugby school I went to, a military rugby school, so lots of built guys. I remember then, for some reason, teenagers, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, they looked like teenagers. They looked like young men. They were built. They had broad shoulders and everything. And I remember I started off, I'm a naturally an ectomorph. I've always been naturally really skinny and scrawny. And yeah, I started going to the school, and I just thought everyone was huge compared to me. So I had to start doing push-ups and sit-ups every single day in my room. Started off, just like lifting weights, lifting whatever I can find. And I think it's like the year 2000 also, I started nofap. I'll try and catch up to these pictures soon, but yeah, I started doing like 100 sit-ups a day. I swam for an early age. My mum threw me in the pool when I was like a baby, because I was born with asthma, so I had to get rid of my asthma, and the only way she said she could do that is through swimming. So I started swimming when I was a toddler, and by the time I was 7 years old, I was the best in my primary school. I beat everyone at butterfly and front crawl, everything. Just only me and another kid. I think it was like a kid from Pakistan who became my best mate. He was like, we were the only ones who were absolutely amazing at swimming. And so I recommend swimming. I'm talking about this because I recommend swimming for any foundation of fitness. It is the best. Like, seriously, if I didn't start swimming from an early age, I wouldn't have the explosive, unlimited energy that I had for the rest of my life. Because swimming, when you breathe, you have to breathe from your stomach. Most people, they walk around breathing from their throat and their, maybe sometimes from the chest, but you have to breathe deep breaths, for swimming, and that activates something called a lymph system, and that changes your entire physiology and your entire, fitness, your entire state. Because I didn't realize why I had explosive energy when I went into kickboxing after swimming. I got into kickboxing. And I just had explosive energy, and I was wondering why. And it's also because I did sit-ups every single day. I'm a swimming. I did sit-ups, like 100 sit-ups every single day. Mainly because I also went to an all-boys school. By the time I was 15, I was champion swimmer for butterfly in my city, representing my age group of 15 years old. And I always had they used to call me six-pack sedge, because I used to walk around in my trunks during swimming, and I had a ripped six-pack by the age of 10 years old. But that doesn't mean you have to start early. You can start anywhere, because anytime I swim now, I feel the benefit straight away. And having a good core is the best thing for you. I went to an all-boys school. I'll try and catch up to these pictures, but yeah, and everyone there, when you go to an all-boys school, high school, everyone talks about, have a six-pack, have a six-pack, and I don't know why that was the big thing then. That was just really popular to have, so I just did 100 sit-ups every day, every single night, and it made my swimming 10 times better, because I had complete control over my entire body. And I didn't know then at the time it was the sit-ups and the ab work, but the core, like Bruce Lee says, the core is the foundation of the body, is where all the power and energy comes from. And since then, I got into kickboxing, and then during college, and I started training like 8 hours a day. I read a book by Bruce Lee called The Art of Expressing the Human Body. I was obsessed with Bruce Lee. Once I saw his movies, I thought, okay, that's what I want to be like. I want to be like that. In those times in your life when you see something and you get a chill down your spine and you realize that's who you want to be, that's what you want to do for the rest of your life. Some people, some of my mates watch like Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, but I remember I saw Bruce Lee and I thought that's who I want to be. I want to be just like that. And I watched all his movies like every single night, and then eventually I read his books. But I also I did a bit too much sometimes, I think, because I lost. At one point I weighed 8.5 stone. I was training 8 hours a day. From the moment I woke up, I was doing kickboxing all day, every day, every waking hour, and I got really lightheaded because I wasn't eating good protein. I was living off fruits, and I thought, okay, I've got to be super duper fit. I'll eat lots of fruit. But when you're a teenager, when you're 17, 18, you don't have to focus on that. You naturally burn, your metabolism naturally high. But I became obsessed. When you become obsessed, and I didn't realize because I was really frustrated. But throughout my entire life, I've been studying fitness and looking online and reading books. I read Bruce Lee's book, The Tao Jeet Kune Do, when I was like 16, like 2004, 2005. Then I read The Art of Expressing the Human Body, and I based my every single workout was like based around, and every single day with my fitness and movements were based around that book, on which lists all of Bruce Lee's routines. And he trained like all day, every day. He like his wife said, you would find him doing sit-ups and during the advertisements when they would watch TV, and that's what I did. My mum, and then my sister, I was always moving. I was always doing sit-ups and squats, and everywhere I go. But then as I got older, I started reading fitness magazines. I started getting to gym. Like you saw before, the other picture, but then in the gym I was working out like 8 hours a day. I was doing too much. But when I was doing kickboxing years before that, I started having nosebleeds and fainting because I was doing way too much. But then I started eating lots of food, and I started going to the gym using weights. I used to use every machine in the gym. Then I would also sprint. Sometimes I would do 8 hours a day, and when I wasn't at college, and it was just too much. And I just wish I could go back in time and use that time to apply that to fighting, and to apply that to training in MMA and fighting and building something of myself, rather than mainly I did it out of frustration, just because it was in my psychology. It's like I was raised through that, for training like Bruce Lee every single day for years on end, and it's just like OCD. It's like I couldn't not do it. But I wish I'd go back in time and focus on applying that, or use that to get money for security, because right now I'm homeless in Brazil. Trying to get back to my next job, or trying to get back to England, where I can get a B2 visa. But anyways, yeah, and since I used that, I applied that throughout my entire life. I had that. I felt like I had energy throughout my entire life. Then through, just woke up and had all this frustration. I didn't know it was frustration at the time, but it's mostly just frustrated energy I would use. And but yeah, pull-ups and squats and dips. When I was traveling the world, like here in Brazil, they became my foundation. And then I discovered bodyweight squats also, because for years before I started traveling, I was in the gym, and I lost my snap in my kicks and my punches. Like I used to go on the heavy bag after a few hours training in the gym. I didn't realize I was doing too much back then. But after that, after I started reading magazine, doing research, I started doing what they say to only work 1 hour a day. So I started to slow it down, do 1 hour a day of body training, and then. But when I used to do the bag work, I found I had no power in my kicks. Like when I used to kickbox as a teenager, I used to do like all these spinning, jumping kicks and all these endless, punches, like 1,000 punches a day, 1,000, all these, well, not probably 1,000 punches a day, probably sometimes, but all these kicks and all this jumping around and squats. And I was wondering, why can't I do that now? I was like in my 20s and I was going to the gym every single day. I said, I should be more powerful now. Now I'm going to the gym. But I had a big swollen muscular body when I went to the gym. I used to leave the gym wobbling and then walking from side to side. I used to obey what those magazines say, and say, yeah, you're supposed to leave the gym, waddling. You're supposed to use heavy weights and do heavy squats. And then I just didn't realize why I didn't have. Every time I threw a kick, a punch, I was out of breath, and I didn't realize because I had all this weight, this muscle weight carrying around. I was swollen and big, like the movie stars and the magazines tell you to be. But then when I started traveling the world, I had no other option but to start doing bodyweight exercises like bodyweight squats, pull-ups and sit-ups. And then all of a sudden I find myself, I felt so much more agile. Like I felt like I could do my kicks and punches. I felt like I was 14 years old again and I was doing kickboxing. And I didn't realise subconsciously I was going back to the training routines that I did when I was doing, every single day I went to jiu-jitsu practice and kickboxing practice, and every single night we did like bodyweight workouts. I didn't discover the gym then, and that's the reason why I had such explosive kicks and had such explosive power and unlimited energy, because every single day when I was a teenager I just used to do like 100 sit-ups, bodyweight squats during the jiu-jitsu warm-up and the kickboxing warm-up, some push-ups here and there. And so I had to go, no option but to go back to that when traveling, because I couldn't discover a gym. I had no indoor gym except for when I was in USA, like you saw me there. And then I just found out, I have so much energy, I have so much control over my entire body. And I got into kickboxing again, and I started kicking and punching, and my kicks were the same as when I was a teenager. And I was like, why? That's what it is. So every single day, like in the shower now, I have a cold shower every single day. I wake up. I was gonna say morning, but sometimes I don't wake up. Sometimes I'm up all night trying to work online, teaching online, trying to get money to go back to England. Like you see my ripped bicep, and that was just doing for my morning gym bicep curls from a cable machine, and yerba mate as well. I think yerba mate really helps with your skin and your health, because it all comes down to your colon health and your skin health, how you look after yourself, because the colon is like the second brain. You look after your colon, you cleanse your colon every day, and everything else falls into place with ginger, lemon, water every single day. But as I was saying, I got back into doing bodyweight squats, and got back into, because if you look at a routine and you think back to when you were in the best shape, when you felt the best, when you were the best, most agile. Don't listen to these you can take like Bruce Lee said, take what's useful and discard what's not, because we're all different, we're all built different, and we all have different responses in our muscles deep down, but as Bruce Lee says, we all have two arms and two legs. But we are going to end up the same if we work out the same in some way. So if you see a big, a guy on the front cover who looks like a rugby player, like that's what I did on Men's Fitness or whatever, if you want to look like him, then do like heavy weights, if your goal is to be a big rugby player. But deep down, we're not lasting to be gorillas. We're endurance athletes, we're conquerors, we're travelers, we're warriors. We're supposed to be hunters and gatherers, so we're supposed to have agility and endurance. Monkeys and gorillas, they're supposed to lay around all day and eat bananas and have that that brute strength. But brute strength and power comes down to speed and flexibility and endurance, and using that power, and having, as I said, it all comes from the core, having a six-pack as well, having a good ripped core and having the endurance. But as I was saying, I'm waffling now, we're not supposed to be gorillas, and I was wondering why I did look, big and bulky when I obeyed the fitness magazines, but I just felt like I couldn't throw a kick, I couldn't throw a punch, I couldn't do everyday, athletic things, so a lot of these fitness magazines, you see these big bulky men. If you want that, then go for that. Go eat a lot of protein, do the heavy barbell squats, and follow what they say in the magazines. But think back to when you felt the best, and when you felt the most healthiest, when you looked the healthiest, and when you felt the healthiest. Because it all comes down to how you feel. If you feel good, you look good. So I've taken back some of the routines that I did when I was a teenager. Just basically bodyweight squats. Full body movements with like pull-ups like this, push-ups and sit-ups every now and then. And I felt like I had so much more control over my body, and that's what matters, having control over your entire body and being able to do what you athletically what you want to do. But we're all different. We all have different goals. But if you want to be a rugby player and push people over, then there's obey what they say in the fitness magazines, the rugby magazines, if you want to be big and muscular. But it isn't long term if you want to, you know, be really, really healthy. Because you have to carry a lot of weight around. It takes a lot of eating, a lot of time. And intermittent fasting, when I discovered that, I felt a lot more healthier, had a lot more energy, and I love to reward myself at the end of the day with a meal. I've been doing cold showers for like 7 years, intermittent fasting for like 10 years now, and yeah, cold showers, intermittent fasting every single day, and yeah, 1 meal a day for like 7 years now. And take what feels good to you. If you want any fitness advice, guys, also I've been traveling the world, so I haven't had much chance to use an indoor gym and use every machine. So I know the best routines. I'm always like taking a step back and thinking, okay, I don't feel too good. What am I doing wrong here? What am I doing right here? What can I implement here? And now I have a great understanding of what works for me and what's the best thing to achieve if anyone wants their specific goal. So I'm here. If you need an online personal trainer, just let me know, guys. I know the best routines for diet and the best diet and the best fitness routines after studying it since the year 2000, so the past 24 years now. So yeah, and I think I've got something that works for me. So and I know all the ins and outs of it. So if you need any tips, guys, just let me know. That's my